Greetings, YouTube. I'm filming this on the 5th of January, though it's not going to go live until the 13th. And as of today, the Hillbilly Brigade that is currently occupying a state forestry building are being considered protesters. Now, what am I referring to? I'm referring to the militia that has invaded an Oregon state park and taken over buildings while armed. That's an act of terrorism. They've invaded buildings while armed. Now, people call them protesters. I know the mainstream media calls them protesters. But armed and protester is an oxymoron. This isn't a sit-in. A sit-in is a non-violent process. And these people came packing firearms, knowing that they were going to push people's buttons and hoping that they would start a firefight. That's what they came for. At least one of them has already admitted they were prepared for a firefight. These people are throwing tantrums because they want to privately use public lands and not reimburse the public trust for those purposes. That's what's at the core of this. That's what it is. This isn't about freedom. This isn't about the Constitution. This is about a bunch of people fighting for what they imagine the Constitution is, rather than what the Constitution is. Sort of like how many people defend the Bible for what they imagine the Bible to be, rather than what the Bible actually is. There's two different things there. There's the Constitution, and then there's people imagine the Constitution to be. And we all can get the Constitution wrong if we don't look at it. And particularly if we're willing to bend the word Constitution to mean that private citizens should be able to use public lands without reimbursing the public trust. At the core, that's what this is. It is a violent tantrum. It is an act of terrorism based on a tantrum. But because all the people involved in this are white men, no one's been shot yet as of the 5th. And they're even letting them bring food and supplies into themselves. They had to bring hiking boots in at one point recently. Who does this without having hiking boots in Oregon? I'm not quite sure, but apparently these people do. And I've seen their supply room. Yeah, their supply room has got no supplies in it. But if you're a white person with a gun, you're a protester. But if you're an unarmed black person, you're a terrorist. And they'll bring out armored vehicles. They'll bring out riot gear. They'll bring out sniper rifles. And they will use unbelievable, overwhelming force to arrest you, to beat you, to gas you for non-violently protesting the murder of someone. But if you're a white person, a white guy with a gun, well, you're just a protester. Bullshit! The mainstream media is playing right into their hand, and NPR is no better. NPR is the closest thing we have to decent news in America, and they still use terms like enhanced interrogation techniques when talking about Gitmo. It's torture. Stop calling it enhanced interrogation technique. Stop playing the narrative that the conservatives want you to play. And stop treating these terrorists in Oregon as protesters. They're not. Shut them down. Cut off their food. Cut off their outside contact. Cut off their power. Their water. Cut off everything. And then you sit back and you wait. No media coverage, nothing. You just wait. And after a week or so, you send a message in, very quietly, that any of them that comes out unarmed will be taken into custody without harm. And then you wait. And they'll either turn themselves in, or they'll start to eat each other. Either way, problem solved. Because I'm sick of this crap. I'm sick of white men with guns being allowed to go anywhere they want to and get away with anything they feel like doing. But if you're black in America, if you're a black unarmed protester, you are treated like you have a bomb strapped to your body and you are eradicated without hesitation. I'm tired of black children being murdered in the streets for holding a toy. I'm tired of black men murdered in a Walmart holding a toy, while white men can invade U.S. federal grounds and have nothing happen. And everyone stands back and just lets them have their little party, their little pity party. These people are terrorists and they need to be treated like terrorists. And I'm not abdicating violence. I think we should sit back and just let them stew. Eventually, they will surrender. Or they'll finally get pushed to the point where they are willing to act violently. And well, then, they've given us no choice. But we have to stop treating these people as anything other than what they are and stop giving white men privileged treatment over black Americans. We have to stop having a double standard, a triple standard, a quadruple standard. What goes after that? Who knows? I'm tired of this. I'm sick of it. Yes, I know. But you're a white guy. You're right. I'm a white guy that finally woke up. I'm a white guy that finally noticed that black people have been telling me this my whole friggin' life. And I finally started to listen. And even when I was steeped in my white privilege, I thought that these militia, black helicopter, New World Order wingnuts that think that, their version of reality is what should be imposed upon the world, that they're standing up for freedom when they're just a bunch of wingnuts and terrorists. Even back then I knew these people were dangerous. I used to read American survival magazines, particularly to keep an eye on these type of people. This is back before the internet. Now I don't have to do that. Now I've got the internet. So it's a lot easier to keep tabs on these folks. White supremacy and their fringe militia types are dangerous. It's a pity that those that most deeply and hardly fight for gun rights in America are the folks that I want least likely to have them. I keep being told that the silent majority of good, solid American firearm owners. Well, they need to speak out against these yokels. They need to make sure that the public face of firearm ownership is not these guys. Because they're terrorists, and we should be treating them as such. All right. Well, between now and the 13th, I'm hoping nothing happens bad. I'm hoping it's just a shutdown and we let them stew. And I hope we can arrest all these guys, bring them out, charge them, try them, and send them to prison where they belong. Or they can sit around and commiserate and talk about what wonderful patriots they are and how they've fought so deeply and hardly.